All right. Okay. Go ahead.
Thanks, Creed. So the national debt crossed 35 trillion for the first time ever. The amount being added to the debt seems to be increasing at a growing rate. Today we talked with Fitch, and they told us that the credit rating agency, and they told us that large fiscal deficits and increasing debt burden were key factors to the downgrade that the U.S. had last year. Is the president worried about another downgrade because our spending is more than the money we're taking in?
Yeah, so let me just tick off a couple of things, if I may, and want to be super clear about this. The president signed a $1 trillion of deficit reduction into law, and his budget would lower the deficit by another $3 trillion by making billionaires and biggest corporations pay their fair share and cutting spending on special interests. That was an action that the president did. The prior administration increased the debt. Let's not forget what the prior administration did, by a record $8 trillion, and didn't sign a single law to reduce the debt deficit. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And on top of that, you have congressional Republicans that to continue to want to blow up the debt, again with $5 trillion more in Trump tax cuts, while making hardworking families, pay the price by cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Affordable Care Act. And we want to do the opposite, right? The president's economic agenda, we want to make sure that we put middle-class family first, hardworking families first, and congressional Americans want to give more tax cut to the rich, to the billionaires, to the corporations. So the president has taken action to try and lower the deficit, and Republicans want to balloon that. And $8 trillion from the last administration, and they did nothing to try to make sure that we lower the deficit.
So you're saying that we crossed 35 trillion because former President Trump's administration, I mean, that was 4 years ago, the debt keeps increasing.
Yeah.
At what point?
The fact is, $8 trillion was what the increase in debt was, what the last administration did, the Trump administration. They didn't put forth any type of legislation to counter that. They didn't. They just let the debt balloon by $8 trillion. That's what they. But that's what they did. The president. But what I.
For the last 3 years.
And what I'm saying to you is, like, we can't discount what happened in the last administration, and we can't discount what this president is trying to do to make sure that we address this. $1 trillion in deficit reduction into law. That's what the president signed. And that would lower the deficit by another $3 trillion by making billionaires and the biggest corporations pay their fair share. Republicans are offering the opposite of that. So I think policy matters. What we've been able to get done matters. I'm not discounting what you're saying. I'm just saying the president is actually working to lower the deficit, and Republicans want to do the opposite. That is where we are when we think about the policy. That is where we are. And I think that matters as well. I know I have to get going. Go ahead, sir.